You may have heard the expression that mastery is in the details. And if you want to think about what sets someone who is masterful apart from people who are earlier in their development, well, the master is able to notice fine distinctions, little details, things that are so small and for someone who's earlier in their development wouldn't even be able to notice or might even brush it over as insignificant. They notice those things and they're able to respond to those small, tiny little details. In fact, the more masterful someone becomes, the more fine-tuned their senses become, the more able they are to notice tiny little distinctions, and the more distinctions they're able to make, the more fine-tuned they become in that ability, the more masterful they will be. Isn't that right? Well, not exactly, because there's one extra piece of the puzzle that is necessary for you or the people that you work with, the people on your team, your friends, your family. In order to become masterful, there's one more piece than just being able to make those fine distinctions in the senses and in your listening and your seeing and your hearing and your feeling. And that skill is the ability to not only notice the details, but to be able to transcend the details, to go meta to the details and hold the larger frame in mind. Because you may have had the experience before of having kind of a sensory overload where you notice the details and you get caught up in something and maybe you lose track of the big picture or you lose track of where am I going with this. And you may have had that experience with a project. If you're a coach, I see this happens to coaches a lot in coaching sessions where the client gives out a lot of information, they get caught up in the details and they lose track of, well, what's the big picture here? What is the process that I am facilitating right now? Because the details can be like the tree. You could lose the forest in the trees. And so when you are moving along the mastery pathway, if you would like to become more of an expert, more masterful in any domain, the key is to be able to understand the larger structure, the larger pathway, the bigger picture, and to be able to then fill in the details in the middle along the way. So it's not the easiest thing to do because there's a lot of moving parts here. Not only do you have to notice the distinctions, but you have to be able to, in the back of your mind, hold your plan, your larger structure in mind while also filling in the details. There's a lot going on there. But if you just have the big picture without the details, well, you have a general overview, you have a big chunk plan, but you don't exactly know the details, the nitty-gritty within it. And if you've got the nitty-gritty, but you don't have the larger structure to hold that within, then you can get lost in the trees and lose sight of the bigger picture, lose sight of the forest. So this skill of meta detailing is one that takes work and effort and time and persistence to develop within oneself, but it's well worth it because this is one of the crucial distinctions that sets apart experts and masters from people who are earlier on in their career. So if you find yourself as the type of person who tends to have the big picture and not really know the nitty-gritty, or you find that you're the type of person who can get lost in the details but then lose track of the bigger picture, or perhaps you're the type of person who can do both. You can see the big picture, you can also focus on the details, but perhaps the details are not aligned with the bigger picture that you would like to be moving ahead in a particular project or a particular skill set. Well, that right there will shine the light on where you need to focus your energies, where you need to develop your perspective so that you can move along the mastery pathway and become more self-actualized to be able to more intentionally direct your path, your skill development, the projects that you're working on, so that you can become a better version of yourself intentionally, on purpose, and also to make progress in the skills that you desire to have in your life and to make make progress towards the goals that you'd like to accomplish. So this is a basic overview of the skill of meta detailing. It's the skill of transcending and including. That's what meta means, to transcend and include. So you transcend the details in the bigger picture, but you also include them in there. You don't lose them, you hold them in there, and you hold the bigger picture frame. And if you can hold all of that in mind at once so that you can notice the details, and as you move along your mastery pathway, you're getting finer and finer tuned in the distinctions you're able to make while also becoming more clear in the bigger picture plan, the bigger picture strategy, and to be able to hold all of that in your consciousness at once. That's mastery. That's the key to mastery. And you can think about something that you're already masterful at, because if you think of something you're already masterful at, I will almost guarantee you that you are meta detailing in that already. And to learn how you do that effectively, how you develop that skill so that you can use that in other areas more intentionally to become more masterful. So I hope you found this video valuable. If you liked it, definitely click that like button to let me know to make more content like this. Feel free to share this with anyone that you think would benefit from this content. If you'd like to see more content like this, click the subscribe button and the little bell icon if you'd like to receive notifications when I release new content every single week. And I hope to see you in a future video. Feel free to leave your questions and comments below, and have a wonderful rest of your day, holding the big picture in mind without getting lost in the details, so that you can notice those distinctions, respond to them, and act upon them without getting lost in them, and keeping your larger picture intentions in mind.